Great. So welcome to the Tuesday evening class, a brand new class where we will be exploring mindfulness. I'm here with quite a number of people. It's very, very nice. Guillaume is behind the camera, who I live with. And then we have, I'll introduce the other teachers maybe later on when I introduce the course. But there are a number of us here who will be part of the Tuesday night team. So yeah, it's the first time I've actually done an evening class. I've done lots of Qigong, but it's the first time I actually sat down and looked at the camera. So it's nice to say hello. I can't obviously see you, but nice to say hello. And yeah, do put in chat as usual, like where you're from, and say hello to your friends, say hello to me, say hello to teachers, Pamapalata or Stiramanis or Mahamani or Mantra Vajri or to Guillaume. Just yeah, it'd be nice to hear from you. So, yeah. So maybe Guillaume can let me know if anybody says hello. Or... Yeah, okay, good. That would be nice. Nice to hear from you. Good.
What's your name?
Oh yeah, do I want to introduce myself? Okay, my name is Nyanavat. No, it's not Nyanavat. Maybe I wish. Maybe you wish. My name is Nyana. That bit I got right is Nyana Daya. So my name is Nyana Daya. I live and work at London Buddhist Centre. So I live in Sakavati, the community upstairs, one of the communities, and I also work as the caretaker here. But tonight, I'm introducing the first of our evenings on mindfulness. Good.
So we've got a few people just arrived.
Good.
Paul Bonnet from Brighton.
Hi Paul.
Kevin Delaney from Leigh-on-Sea.
Oh yeah, I recognise. Is it Kevin from Leigh-on-Sea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got Mitch Walpole from Greenwich.
Okay, Mitch from Greenwich.
Paul Perrin from Sikop. Say hi, there.
Yeah, Paul is a regular Qigonga. Paul from Salcombe. Salcombe's lovely, isn't it, Paul? So yeah, so very nice that you said hello. Nice to have you here.
Stephen from Cambridge. Lynn from the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, blimey. So Stephen from Cambridge and Lynn from the Rocky Mountains. I presume that's Rocky Mountains, United States, unless there's a Rocky Mountains. Maybe there's a Rocky Mountains somewhere else, but it's a nice place to be, I guess.
We've got someone, Richard from Wales, says hi.
Wales, very nice too. Hi, Richard.
Veronica Fisher from Essex.
Hi, Veronica. Wales is lovely, actually.
We've got Britta S. from Leighton.
Britta, hi. Congratulations on becoming a Mitra. I was there virtually. Oh yeah, Mohamani says hello. I hope you had a really good evening. That was amazing online Mitra ceremony where, I think, 180 people live, less people in the shrine room, but it was a lovely evening. So congratulations. Nice to be able to congratulate you.
We've got Kevin Delaney saying, hi there, hope you are still reading me. We chatted about him on the winter retreats.
We chatted about what? Rumi. Yeah. Hi, Kevin. I don't quite remember, but we talked about Rumi. Rumi's a hero. So that's okay. Great. I'm glad you remember, Kevin. Anyway, that's good. All right. So we've reached. I think it's time 7 o'clock to start. So. Yeah, basically, very, very warm welcome from me on behalf of the team. So for the next 4 weeks, we are going to be exploring the theme of what mindfulness really means. So each week we'll be looking or exploring mindfulness through the body. So today we have Pamapalata, my very good friend Pamapalata, who will be talking about mindfulness of the body. And then we'll be exploring mindfulness of feelings, and that will be my very good friend Mahamani as well, who is coming here. And followed by mindfulness of the mind, which will be Stiramanis, very, very appropriately, mindfulness of the mind, Stiramanis. And we'll be concluding with mindfulness of reality, and who else but Maitri Vajri to talk about mindfulness of reality. So she can come around and say hello. So here she comes in her lovely top.
Hello, people.
So I hope you'll stick around for all of those or catch up with them if if you can't. I just want to talk a little bit about my inspiration for this series, why I wanted us to explore it. And then I'll lead us in a short metta bhavana, because we'll be doing lots of mindfulness. And traditionally, all the retreats I've done on the foundation of mindfulness will start it with developing loving kindness, just as a balance. But briefly, my inspiration really comes from this book. I hope you can see it. It's called The Heart of Buddhist Meditation, and it was the first book on Buddhism that I ever bought. I bought it in a sale in Cambridge when I was 22, I think. I read it. I bought a number of books on Indian philosophy. I think there was a big sale going on in the bookshop. And I read it, and I thought, having read it, that, I am a Buddhist. I sort of recognized something immediately. So it had a very strong impact on me. So the first thing was I thought, I'm a Buddhist. I reckon I loved the Buddha. I felt inspired by the Buddhist philosophy. I felt at home. So in that sense, it was very important. But the actual theme of the book is the Satipatthana. So it's the foundations of mindfulness. So body, feelings, mind, reality. I remember reading the book and going for a walk afterwards. And it was my parents, and I walked down the drive, and I was conscious of the body, of sounds, of sensations, of the touch of the air or the wind on my face, the feeling of my clothes, my feet on the ground. And I remember just being profoundly affected by the simplicity of that practice and how my mind became quiet. So I was very, very taken not only by the subject matter of the book, but that, I guess, the exercise of the book. So maybe Padma-Palata will talk a bit more today about mindfulness of the body. And then the other recollection I have was a retreat. So I'd been coming along to the Buddhist Center for a while. I'd asked for ordination, I think, and I went on a Satipatthana, a mindfulness retreat. And we were exploring mindfulness of reality, I think, particularly in permanence. So what Maitri Vajri will be talking about, I don't know if she'll talk about permanence, but she'll be touching on reality. And I had a very strong realization that all the places that I'd loved and grown up with had changed. They'd all become different. Not only that, but a lot of the people who I had loved or do love had passed away, had died. And it just struck me incredibly forcefully that my life was short and that I had to make the most use of it. And at that point, I fully committed to becoming an order member. And I thought in my mind that I'd like to work for the movement, for the London Buddhist Center. And that's what I'm doing now. So the Satipatthana has had a very, very strong impact on me. And I hope that it may not have exactly the same impact on you, but I hope that this series will inspire you as well to further explore your own experience of yourself, of life, of mindfulness, and also maybe of Buddhism as well. Good. Great. So that's the introduction. Do you want to check the time? So we've got time for a metta bhavana. So we'll begin this evening with just connecting with our hearts before Padma-Palata starts with his talk. So what I would like would be for you to set up in a meditation posture. If somebody could dim the lights, that would be really wonderful. So yeah, sitting upright and comfortably. And don't worry if you've not done the metta bhavana practice. I'll talk us through it. So I'll talk us through a very, very simplified version of it. So yeah, just beginning by settling comfortably into our bodies. And feeling the contact with the ground. And the contact with what we're sitting on. We can give ourselves time just to settle. Being aware of sounds, thoughts, temperature of the room. So allowing our minds just to, of their own accord, grow quieter. And we can begin by simply wishing ourselves well. So it doesn't have to be complicated or even particularly profound. Just a simple wish that we're well and that we're happy, that we're peaceful and free from suffering. So we can repeat those phrases. Or just have the thought or feeling that we wish ourselves well. And then we can bring to mind a good friend. And again, without making it too complicated, just wish them well. So may they be happy, may they be peaceful, may they be free from suffering, and so on. So bringing our good friend to mind. Not worrying if our mind slips away, just bringing our attention back to the body and back to our good friend. And then bringing to mind a neutral person, so somebody we don't feel strongly for either way, somebody who we might normally have regular contact with but don't really know or feel strongly about. And we wish them well too. So we wish them well in the knowledge that in many ways they're just like us. They want to be happy, they don't want to suffer. So without straining, just very simply wishing them well. Like you would a neighbor. And now bringing to mind somebody you find difficult. And again, without being too complicated, just wishing them well as well. They're bigger than the difficulties we have with them, and we're bigger than that as well. So keeping the practice very simple. And now we can bring together ourselves and our good friend and the neutral person and the difficult person. Wish everybody well. So equalize the metta and begin to expand out in all directions. So to all the people at this class, where we live, the local area, country, so exuding goodwill to the world and beyond the world. May all beings be well. And beginning to draw the practice to a close, opening your eyes and getting ready for Padmapalata, to talk about mindfulness of the body. So I'll get up and he will arrive in my place.
So hello everyone, I hope you've enjoyed Yanadai's lovely introduction and just sort of landing in the class today with that metta bhavana. So my name's Padmapalta, and today, I'm going to start us on the journey of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Yanadai said that the Satipatthana was like the basis of how the Buddha taught mindfulness. He also taught a meditation practice called the Anapanasati. And it uses these 4 foundations of mindfulness to sort of go deeper and deeper into the mind. So you can think about mindfulness in 2 ways, or at least I think about mindfulness in 2 ways. The first way is that I'm building a pyramid. I have to start with a solid base. And this week, I'm going to tell you what that base is in everyday life. And then next week, Mahamani will sort of add on another level to that pyramid. Sthiramanas will add another level, and then Maitravajra will take us right to the top. And that's how we build a strong foundation in mindfulness. Body, feelings, mind, and reality. But the Anapanasati also has a different analogies, one of going deeper, further, refining, going lower and lower into our experience until we come to something that we've never seen before, an underground cavern maybe. So I think it's quite useful to think about mindfulness in these 2 analogies. One is going up, but the other one is sort of going back and deeper. And I'm going to talk to you about mindfulness of the body using those two analogies. The first thing to say is that mindfulness of the body is our English translation of the word rupa sati, or awareness, or current awareness of rupa. Now, rupa isn't quite body. It's sort of, we have to sort of strip away the modern biomedical idea of a body that we have and go into the Buddhist vision of what rupa really is. So rupa is everything in your experience. Everything in your experience that's not your mind. So you will have your body, your physical body will be included in rupa. But so is your sight, so is your sound, so are the smells that you come into contact with. And Western biomedicine has this idea of proprioception, your placement of the body. And the Buddhist vision of that is space. Your body takes up space, but it's also aware of space in this broader area. So I think if we just think about mindfulness of the body as in the meaty stuff that I'm made up of, that will be good, but it won't be the full vision. It won't be that solid base of mindfulness. So I do think that part of building up that first layer of mindfulness is about including as much as we can of our surroundings in that picture of mindfulness. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But then the other part is, if you will, like compacting what you've got, going deeper, making sure that foundation is strong. And I think that is done by what we commonly call like concentration. Am I concentrated? Am I not concentrated? And I think, well, I'm going to share a lot of my reflections on what's helpful, what's not helpful when we think about concentration. And we'll see if that's beneficial. So what is rupa? What's rupa? The first thing is, if you just sit here listening to me, and probably you're aware of your TV set or your computer, you're probably aware of the seat that you're sitting on. Now that I've said you're aware of your seat that you're sitting on, you're now aware of it. You might be aware of some noise in the room or outside of the room. If you've got an old computer, you might hear that little noise that it makes. So all of that is rupa, because you're aware of it. In a way, the fact that you're aware of something means that it's rupa for you, or at least it's not other than you. So this is the vision of rupa that's much, much bigger than the Western biomedical idea of the body, is that I, to some extent, am part of your rupa. I'm part of your experience because you're seeing me. And funnily enough, I'm imagining you. I don't see you, but I am imagining a few people sitting around their laptops. So in a way, you're part of my experience, and definitely the people in the room that I'm looking at are part of my experience. And there's noise outside of this room. I've really noticed the motorcycles and the cars that don't have mufflers in lockdown. I've really noticed that through the walls. That's part of rupa because I'm hearing it. There's also this idea of space. There's distance between me and that noise. I can imagine that there's something else over there that's making the noise, and then I'm receiving that. And I start sort of maybe there in my ear, the bit where it starts hitting some flesh and vibrating the little hairs. That's where I start. But the Buddhist vision of rupa is much, much bigger. It doesn't have a hard defining line. It's more like, where do I end? Not sure. Where do you begin? Not sure either. So that's the idea of interpenetration or interconnectedness. And you can be aware of that sitting here watching YouTube on a Tuesday night. You don't need to be aware of that with your eyes closed and noticing your breathing. You can do that walking down the street. And I think this week, what I'd really invite you to do is use your outdoor activities, whatever they are. I know I've gotten a lot more running done in the last few months. I really use that run as my way to first become aware of the space that I'm in. I've been running down near the Thames. I'm really aware of the river. It's a presence, and the sky, and the wind, and the dogs, and the children, and the trees. So I can be caught up in my run, like, God, I can't breathe today. Oh, God, he's really pushing it. I can't keep up. But if I just sort of broaden out my awareness, it's not like my breathing suddenly becomes easy and I'm running on Zen. I'm aware of more. In essence, I'm mindful. I'm mindful of more. And then you can also be aware of the actual sensations that we would call our usual body. You know, my feet hitting the floor, the movement of my clothes against my skin, the little trickle of sweat that I get at around 2K. You know, those are things that I can notice if I do something day in, day out. Maitri Bandhu always says, if you want to do a mindful walk, just make it a walk that you're already doing. So just do that this week. Find the thing that you're already doing and just open up to more. So in meditation, we can do that, but then we can start to compact the soil of mindfulness of Rupa. We can come to the cushion, so to speak, or come to your couch when you meditate with an awareness that's been doing that already, whether that is the first thing you do in the morning or whether you just do like a 20-minute sit after you've gone for a walk, or even just that 20 minutes before a meeting. Often that 20 minutes before a meeting you can't do much with. But you can bring a mind that's aware of space and aware of sound and aware of more smells. And you can then bring that as the starting point for the mindfulness of breathing. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead us through sort of how I do the mindfulness of breathing. I don't really do the stages that much anymore, but there are stages of gathering that I'm sort of going to walk us through. And the analogy of sort of compacting the soil of that first level of mindfulness is a good way to think about it. We start with the broadest possible perspective. Here we are in space. We might be sitting on the ground or on the 4th floor of an apartment building, but we're actually in space. We're part of this infinite cosmos. We can't even imagine how big it is, but we do know that there is a sense of distance, there's a sense of space. And there is an immediate sense of space here in this room. I can hear my voice echoing back from the walls. But even beyond that, I can hear the road out on Bethnal Green High Street. I can hear that sort of rumble of the bus. So I can start with an idea of space. I don't even need to close my eyes to do this. I can just be aware of it. And you can just be aware of it now, listening to me. What's beyond the room that you're in? And often we have a sense of what that is by sound. We hear things, not even consciously. We don't understand exactly what it is we're hearing, but there's something beyond what we can immediately sense. Yep, there it is, the bus. So that's a level of mindfulness that's very, very broad, very, very broad. And we can just sit with this level of mindfulness and then just check, okay, how am I today? What's my mind like? Am I picking a fight? This is something I do. Am I picking a fight in my mind? Or am I feeling a bit bouncy? That's also something I do. Actually, am I like just just like that low level of calm. Okay, cool. If I can stay with that broad sense of space, that mindfulness of what's going on here right now, and I'm not sort of being pulled out, pulled to the future, pulled to the past, then, okay, I might start, let's gather up a little bit more. Can I keep my sense of rupa just to this room, the sense of space in the room? And can I hear or smell anything if I pay particular attention? Yeah, there's something, even when there's nothing, there's a certain type of awareness that gathers in. Okay, how about the sounds in the room, near and far? Just gathering a little bit more. I can hear my breathing. I don't like hearing my breathing. I think I breathe too loudly, but I can notice it. Great. Even a little bit closer, the feeling of my clothes on my skin. So often, I think my clothes are like part of me, like they're like, no, it's on me now, it's me. But if I become aware of, oh yeah, my socks on my feet, and the way that my trousers are sort of being pressed against the floor by my legs. Oh, look, I've got like a full body awareness. It's like my clothes are a way of bringing my awareness right into the skin. And then there's actually my skin. Gosh, it's really tingling now. I can feel quite a lot. And my tummy, I can really feel my tummy and my heart quite strongly. It's almost like there's like a bag of sensations. Someone's got a little bag, a Padmapalata-shaped bag, and poured all of these sensations into it. And I can just stay with that for a little bit. Don't need to sort of say how I'm feeling, or do I like this, or do I not like this. Just notice how I feel in my skin. Then I can go inside the bag, so to speak, inside the skin. I can feel the shape of my body. I feel like I can feel my bones in there. I feel like I've got a sense of structure. And there's a sense of a warm pulse. Is it my heart? Do I need to know whether it's my heart? But there's a sense of an internal shape, an internal sensation. I think that's a lovely way to sort of get into your body. What I can sometimes do, and have done in the past, is the bell rings, ding, and that's it. I'm like, on the breath. And I just think it's about being there on the breath. I think that could be, some people might not be like that. I think I'm rather goal-driven. So if I slowly gather myself up, an amazing thing happens. My mind doesn't shoot off. It just slowly sort of settles. I've used this analogy in the past. My mind's a bit like a cat. You can't tell a cat where to sit. You can't pick the cat up and put the cat on the spot and expect the cat will stay there. It'll wander off and find a little sunny spot. You do have to cajole a cat to sit where you want it to sit. Like, ooh, it's lovely and calm. Come sit here. Let me stroke you for a little bit. Oh, it's nice here, isn't it? I'm just going to leave you there. So I think that's the way I work with my mind. I sort of show it the full experience, and then I start to get it interested in what's going on closer and closer. And the final stage is, what's actually going on here? Because it is mindfulness of breathing. So what is actually going on? Where can I feel something that usually I'd call the breath? And for me, it's sort of like behind my heart. I can feel this. It's like a little inflation, deflation behind my heart. It's not how I imagine the breath to be, actually. It's much more soft, much more gentle. And sometimes when I've really settled on the breath, all I can notice is a sort of like a movement at the base of my tummy, just a little movement. And I know that that's anatomically, it's my diaphragm, but it just feels like the center of my breath comes from this little gentle movement in there. And by the time I'm sort of gathered around my breath to that amount, I find that the 40 minutes for my meditation is gone, and I don't really want to stop meditating. But it's taken me 40 minutes to get down here. But I finished that meditation and I think, oh yeah, that was time well spent. And then I try and broaden out and take that into my life, really. Take it into the next thing I'm doing, but always try and keep that awareness of sound, particularly. I find sound is a really good anchor, much more than the breath or the feet when you're at a desk. I spend a lot of time at my desk, and sound seems to be a better anchor for me. So that's what we're going to try. I think we're going to have a quick break now. And then after the break, we'll come back and we'll literally just do what I've described. So to speak, we'll take the broadest possible awareness that we can get. We'll build that first level of the pyramid, and then we'll compact the soil and make it a really stable base and gather ourselves around the body, gather ourselves around Rupa. Okay, well, I'll see you after you grab a cup of tea. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you've had your cup of tea. So we're going to take about 25 minutes to sort of explore mindfulness of Rupa in a very, very direct way. So we're not going to do the usual mindfulness of breathing. You can think of it as, well, exactly what I was talking about before the break. We're just going to first start by broadening out, and then we'll slowly start to gather ourselves up around the breath. So if you'd like to find a comfortable position, find that position where you don't need to put too much effort into staying upright. And, you know, there's a great tendency to move or to wiggle around when you're not in a shrine room with people. But really, staying still is about your mindfulness and your meditation. So try and work against the tendency to sort of just do that shuffle because you're in your study or in your living room by yourself. It might be helpful to have something warm on you and get comfy. So you don't need to close your eyes yet. I'd just like you to just soften your eyes. Just allow the light of the room to fall into your eyes. You don't need to focus. You don't need to look at the screen. You can just let the light of the room come into your eyes. And there'll be some sounds. So just notice those sounds and the light in the room. Closing your eyes when you feel comfortable. We're just going to spend a bit of time getting a sense of the space around our body. Where are we? How big is the room that you're in? What's outside of that room? You might have a mental picture. You might have a sense of the noise of the city or of nature. So let's spend a few minutes just listening to what's outside. And you can let your mind find different things. You don't need to stick with the sound outside. There might be different sounds inside the room. Or you just might have an imaginative connection with this sense of space, and you can sit in that. And eventually, your mind will find something else that it wants to do. And you can just notice that and allow it to find something that's happening now that it can get interested in. What is that sound? So we're allowing our minds to wander in this space, whatever's happening just now. And if your mind starts looking for something else in the past or in the future, you can just notice that. Pick your mind up and just bring it back to what's going on right now. What's going on in the room that you're sitting in. And if your mind is staying in the room, try and become aware of all the little details that tell you you're in the room. The sound of the television or the computer. Maybe there's a clock ticking. Or the hum of a refrigerator. Can you hear your breathing? And eventually, as you gather up your awareness, you might be aware of just little subtle movements of your body, of where your clothes are touching your body. How your shirt gently brushes your back as you breathe. Your collar touching your neck. Or even how your socks aren't keeping your feet warm. And you start to become aware of a me-shaped bag of clothes and sensation. Just see if you can notice the shape that you're in just now. Noticing your clothes and your body. The sounds in the room and the space of the room haven't disappeared. They're still there. They're not excluded from this vision of Rupa and what you can be mindful of. Can you feel your skin underneath your clothes? The shape that your skin makes how your hands are arranged, the tingling of your feet, how your face is being held, even though no one's looking. How does it feel underneath the skin? The little symphony of sensations just below the skin. So the sound outside of the room and the little symphony just below your skin are all part of your mindfulness of Rupa. You can hold them both. Going deeper into your body, can you feel your guts? That mess of feeling around your heart and your tummy that lets you know you're alive, lets you know when you're upset, when you're happy. See if you can feel the inside of your body. And the noise outside of your room, and the little symphony underneath your skin, and the feeling deep in your guts are all part of Rupa. You can hold them all gently. No need to exclude one bit of your experience and to accept another. Finally, a gentle movement just below your heart, where the bellows of your lungs draw air in and out. Where does it start? In your belly? Lower? And how do you know that the breath is moving? We know it's moving, but how do we know? Just see if you can be curious like a cat and watch the breath for a few minutes. And when that mind wanders, just notice the sound and gather around your breath slowly. We're not going to end the practice. We're going to gently expand it. Include your heart and your guts in your awareness of the breath. Can you feel your spine holding you up? Maybe very gently rocking. The insides of your legs and your arms and your head. Your skin and your clothing. The taste in your mouth. The texture of your tongue. The light that you can still see even with your eyes closed. That black-white. The sounds in the room. The tick of the clock. The whirl of the computer or the television. The sense of space around you. And the sounds outside of the room. And the world just beyond. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes. You have a little wiggle. Make yourself comfy. And Yana Dyer is now going to join us. And I was right, Ocker, Yana Dyer. Can you tell I'm Australian? Yana Dyer will now join us. Oh, I can see myself on Yana Dyer's computer. That's surreal.
I can see myself too. Great. So this is my usual job on a Tuesday night, but normally I'm behind the camera. Today I'm in front. That was amazing, don't you think? That was really wonderful. Wonderful talk and wonderfully led meditation. So if you've got any questions for Padma, do put them in chat with a Q at the beginning. That would help me to find them. If I'm struggling with the volume of questions, we've got Guillaume. Guillaume will sort of prompt some more. But yeah, just as also thank you, Guillaume. Normally Guillaume will come through. Maybe.
Come around, Guillaume.
Quick hello to Guillaume. Guillaume's like pivotal to.
What I might do is a little bit shout out as well, because I've been organising the tech teams for the live stream for the last 4 months, and Jana Dyer and Guillaume have done every single Tuesday night for 4 months solid.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there's been a single one where you haven't been involved. And I was saying this to my partner the other day, and he was like, wow, that's a lot of Tuesday nights. It is. You've done an amazing job, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you for organising and also for a wonderful evening. Okay, hopefully we've got some questions coming. Let's see. Yeah, Chris saying that was a great meditation. Thank you very much. Maggie as well, very peaceful and happy meditation. And Richard as well. I know it's Richard saying lovely from across the road.
Hi, Richard.
Good. So, Siramansa is saying something to me. What?
Yeah.
So, should I ask a question?
Did you have a question? Yeah,
Not really.
No.
No, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, I was particularly struck by one phrase that you used, which was about not discriminating between what you pay attention to. Like, I don't quite remember the phrase that you used, but I thought that was rather wonderful.
Yeah, it's something I actually forgot to mention in the talk, which might be worth saying a little bit more about. What I've been thinking more and more is that the language of distraction is really unhelpful. It's like a really bad idea to think about that there's this thing called concentration, and then when I'm not in concentration, I must be distracted. And I think that's that the whole gathering that we did was about trying to sort of say, like, none of that is not rupa. None of that is not what we're trying to be aware of. So there's no need to say, like, this bit is acceptable and that noise over there is not acceptable and I do not want it. So I think I had a little bit of a breakthrough. I think it was about the 4th week of lockdown, sitting in meditation. I just heard this, and it was like a jackhammer, like in a building site. And immediately the thought was, they're breaking lockdown. They shouldn't be doing that. It's 8 a.m. There's no way that's legal. Oh my God, they shouldn't be doing that. And I just thought, like, wow, look, I just made that thing unacceptable in my mind, and I rebel against anything I don't find acceptable. So I've been really working with that, about like welcoming everything, not trying to reject certain bits because I don't like them.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I did particularly like that. So some people say it's a slightly different approach to the mindfulness of breathing. That was Kevin actually, but you found it very beneficial. Do you maybe I don't know? Do you have any thoughts about like that approach as against like the more traditional approach of counting the breath and
yeah.
So
I mean, I think that the form of the mindfulness of breathing is just like, it's the bread and butter of the practice. So I liken it to like learning how to dance. I've never learned how to foxtrot, but the foxtrot is my example. Like it's a dance. It has steps. You need to know them. If you don't know the steps and you've got a partner that does, like, it's not going to work. So the form of the mindfulness of breathing is like having the basics down, the steps of the dance. But you see people who are really boogieing, they know how to dance. Everything else is, the steps can be broken, they can be bent, They can throw their hand up. I don't know what they do in the foxtrot, but there you go.
They don't do that.
They don't do that anymore. Maybe that's something else. But I like to think like finding a way into the practice like this is like learning how to break the rules. And I learned to break the rules that have ceased to be useful. So I still do the 4 stages, but the 4 stages really in their spirit are about gathering, deepening. So yeah, that's. I think it's more like if you're at the beginning of your meditation journey, you have to know your steps. But once you've been doing it, 5 years, 8 years, you just can't do those 4 stages every time. It's not possible. So I think I'm introducing a way of thinking about those 4 stages. It doesn't mean that you should leave them behind, or this is a new special way of doing the mindfulness of breathing.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I've got some questions. There's a question from Stephen saying he found the outside space easy, but struggled with the room as there was nothing in his room. There's nothing in the room.
Yeah, nothing to notice. Nothing to notice. It's the absence of sensation is actually quite a difficult thing to notice. And Mahamani might talk a little bit more about Vedana next week, which is we can notice the things that are strongly positive and strongly negative. We find it a bit challenging to notice the things that aren't there or not really. I think the closest way that I can suggest, was it Stephen?
It was
Stephen.
It was Stephen, yeah.
Stephen, what I'd like to suggest is, can you feel the back of your earlobe now that I've mentioned the back of your earlobe? You can become aware of the back of your earlobe. And before I mentioned your earlobe, it didn't exist in your mind. It was the empty space of your body. And I think a quiet room can be like that. You've got to actually put your mind into the room, and then you feel the absence. So it is a subtler thing. And often we want to sit in a really quiet room to meditate. And then it's just the noise outside that's the distraction. But that's a way of thinking about when there's not much there or not much going on.
Okay, so he also asks, is it unhelpful picturing what's in the room, or is that just a distraction?
Yeah, well, once again, distraction, bad word. If you're getting caught up in a story of, so in my room, there's the MacBook, and then there's the cable that goes to the screen, it's like that's obviously not helpful. But if there is a sense of like, there are these walls, and I love that painting, and then you're just aware, it's more like it's not like a descriptive, verbose account of the room. It's just more like, oh, it's there. Because I think the opposite of extreme of that is this idea that we're somehow shutting off the world or shutting off to the world. So if you're getting into fantasy, then not helpful. But if you're trying to sort of like ignore what's actually there, and I don't think that's necessarily you're deciding to cut things off, but you think, no, it's only about this. I only have to feel this. And that's as narrow as a fantasy that's taking you on the Starship Enterprise, as I sometimes can go on when I go into fantasy. I go into science fiction. And that's when I know, like, oh, no, not with the body anymore. Come back. So, yeah, I think there is a balance to be struck.
Yeah, great. I thought your talk had a bit of the science fiction in it, by the way. It had a feel of science fiction in a very good way.
Yeah.
So Oliver's saying he finds it easier to concentrate on one thing, i.e. the breathing, as opposed to multiple things.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
So I think that there's 2 ideas of what mindfulness is. There's this broad awareness, which is where we started off with. And I think that broad awareness, neuroscience studies on meditators show that broad awareness comes with development. People who meditate for a long time, like 10, 20, 30 years, they feel that much more easily. The parts of their brain for sensing that are much, much more developed. So I think it's like going to the gym. It's a muscle to exercise. Focusing on one thing, actually, we're sort of trained really well to focus on one thing, like we focus on the screen or on the other screen or on the conversation. Focusing on one thing can be more natural to us, I think. The perfect balance is just that. It's a mixture of that broad and the narrow, or broad and focused, maybe would be a better way. So what I'd suggest is if you find the broader harder, that might be an indication you need to spend more time doing it at the beginning. And that might be particularly useful if you find you're not able to stay with the breath. If you find you're going off constantly, you need to build more of that broader base first.
Okay, great. There's a question from Helene. So she's struggling on the differences between Vedana and Rupa.
Yeah.
Can you please explain?
So I'm sure Mahamani will talk about this next week. This is a model. It's not like Rupa ends at this point and then Vedana starts here. It's more like when there is Rupa, there is Vedana as well. In the classic Buddhist sort of phrasing of what the Buddha saw, this being that becomes. I see my friend, I feel that nice little flush, or I see that dog that went for me last week, and I go, I sort of tighten a little bit. It's not so much that there is a hard defining line. And I think that actually Vedana is probably one of the more foreign concepts to really get into when you're starting to meditate seriously. So I think the way I think about it is everything that I sense, everything that comes in is sensation. How I feel about that, not emotionally, but more like viscerally, like, I don't like that. I don't like it. Like that's Vedana, that bit of like pulling back. So you might put your hand on like the hog when it says it's hot but not boiling, and you're like, the shock is the heat is the sensation, but the shock where you go like, oh, I'm going to burn myself. That's the Vedana. It's very visceral when you think you're threatened.
Great. I'm sure Mahamani will say more about.
Absolutely. Mahamani and I have had lots of conversations about Vedana. So
we've got, I think, a question from Pedro, which I think is really, I was interested about as well. We've got a few minutes left. Good. It says, you mentioned this beneath the pyramid of the broad base. So you talked about heights and depths.
Yeah.
He'd like to say, could you tell us more about this under the pyramid stuff?
Yeah, so it's a mixed metaphor, problematic as they are. The metaphor of the pyramid is that you have to build your awareness of Rupa before you can become aware of Vedana. If you're not aware of Rupa, the body, you can't be really aware of how that feels viscerally. It doesn't make sense. And Stiramanis will tell us, you can't be aware of your mind if you're flitting off, like if you've not got the base of your body. So that's the sort of metaphor of building up. I think that the metaphor of depth or drilling down is, in a way, Rupa is all around you and it's here and it's me. And then Vedana is something that only I, tricky word in Buddhism, but only I have access to my Vedana. You can't feel what I feel. You might imagine that you understand what I might feel, but the Vedana is very particularly me and mine. And my thoughts and all that went into me, the way my psyche is constructed, that's something that even maybe I don't understand completely, but only I can experience it. And mindfulness of reality that Maitri Vajra will talk about is what's behind even that. So it's sort of like what's deeper and deeper into our own experience.
Great. Okay. I think that's coming up to that. I can't see any more questions coming through. So I think maybe we could just wrap it up.
Great.
Say thank you very much for a really fabulous talk. I lived with Pamapalata. He was ordained a little bit after me. But I was there when he came back, and I was very impressed when he came back. And it's the first time I've heard him teach. And I must say, absolutely fantastic. I'm so delighted that you gave that talk and to be here for it. And it's very nice to be here actually with the rest of the team, with Guillaume as well. I'm sorry that you're not actually in the shrine room, but I hope that you've also enjoyed and benefited from that talk. I just want to say a little bit else about, about fundraising basically. So I was sitting there and I was looking at the Rupa during the meditation, and that was made by Chintamani quite a long time ago. This whole shrine room used to be the engine room of a fire station. And the London Buddhist Centre is only possible because a lot of people put a lot of work, they put kind of blood, sweat, tears, everything into making it what it is today. And that spirit continues. So Hemapalata, Guillaume, everyone here, we do what we do out of love for the London Buddhist Centre of Buddhism, and we do it joyfully and we want to give it freely. However, we also currently are standing to lose about £10,000 a month on our current, what we normally expect to earn. So that's £10,000 of our reserves being eaten away for the foreseeable future anyway, for the next few months anyway. So basically it's an appeal. If you can help in any way to support the Buddhist Centre in this time, we'd really appreciate it. I hope that you'd kind of feel satisfaction in being part of this project, I guess, which is ultimately I think it's a very noble one. So Guillaume will post a link. They'll put a link beneath the screen, but he'll post another link. So if you can just click on the link and give whatever you can have, a large or small, that would be very, very much appreciated. All right, so from all of us here, that's like some TV show. From all of us here,
To all of you.
to all of you out there, have a lovely evening, and hopefully see you next week for Mahamani talking about Vedana, feeling. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'll be here. Hopefully we'll all be here.
We'll be here.
And see you then. Okay, bye.
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 Ciao.
That's the Zoom wave.